Hi, my name is Nayan Najad, and this is my 2025 year in review video. So I recently started a new consulting job, and one of my first projects was to create a year in review report for one of my clients. So recently, I've been thinking a lot about the new year. I've been journaling, I've been vision boarding. I literally went to happy hour with Noor the other day, and we just talked about all of our goals going into 2026. But when I was doing all of this, I realized I have literally had the wildest, most transformative year of my entire life. And I don't ever want to lose sight of that. Sometimes we're so focused on our next step, our next goal, how we're gonna optimize in the new year, that we forget how many steps we've already taken. I read this book this year, I'm sure you all know it. It's called The Mountain Is You. It was recommended to me by my friend Katie. And there's this excerpt from this book, and it's very simple, but it just says, give yourself credit for everything you've overcome that you never thought you would. I have done and gone through so much this year. I can't even begin to describe the way I've grown, the way I've challenged myself, and how much I've experienced within just the past 365 days alone. And once again, I never want to lose sight of that. You probably haven't seen my face in a while, and it's because I haven't felt inspired to make a YouTube video in a long time. But this to me literally feels inspirational, and it feels like the perfect documentation of my life while I'm in my 20s. So inspired by my client's year in review, here's my year in review. My 2026 recap, my 2026 wrapped. So let's go over the good, the bad, and then everything in between. And before we get started, alhamdulillah for everything. All right, we're gonna start off with January. This was a picture of me on New Year's Eve. I was celebrating the new year with my friends Aisha and Umber at Bar Taco in the center. Also, I don't want to hear bar taco hate if you haven't had the duck taco. This was a point in my life where I felt stuck. I was full of ideas that I never executed. And for a long time, I feel like I protected myself from the discomfort that would come along with chasing those goals and those ideas that existed in my head. But in truth, I was really just afraid of my goals. I was afraid of committing, I was afraid of failing, and honestly, I was even afraid of succeeding. In 2025, I basically just got to a point with myself where I was like, fear isn't gonna disappear when I think about it. It's going to disappear when I actually stand up and move through it. And that's when I felt like things actually started to change. Also around this time, I went through a series of life changes, which honestly, we're not gonna get into, but two of the most notable ones are leaving my job and starting my master's. So first, let's start with leaving my job. At the beginning of the new year, my company, where I was a digital analyst, I worked in tech, went through a series of mass layoffs, and my role was also set to be laid off. When I first heard news of the layoffs, I had no emotions. I wasn't even upset, I wasn't even angry, I wasn't even like confused or stressed or fearful. If there was any emotion at all, the only emotion I can truly pinpoint was excitement. So basically, I'm set to get laid off. I'm not even like really thinking about it too much. And then at the end of January, I think this was like literally 2 days before I was supposed to get laid off, there was this higher up that I used to do a lot of sales meetings with. And basically, he reached out to me like 2 days before I was supposed to get laid off, and he offered me a much higher position within the company. So let's set the stage, all right? So he offered me a higher position, a huge pay raise, and it would be based in New York. And New York is somewhere that I've gone back and forth about my desire to live there, or maybe not to live there, for a while now. But I remember when he offered me that position, I felt the most resistance to accepting it. And the guy was so confused. He was like, you're literally about to get laid off. You're about to improve your pay so much. You're gonna have a project management position. But I just remember thinking and like debating with him in that meeting and just not really being fully on board with it. And he was so confused. So I think I took like maybe 2 to 3 days to think about the offer. I remember I talked to so many of my friends during that time, and then also my family as well. Some people were telling me that I'm insane and I should definitely take the position. And then some people were telling me, I know you and I don't think this is the right fit for you. And I know you've wanted more from your life for years now. I remember my dad was like, Leanne, like why the hell would you not accept this position? Like this makes no sense for you to turn down. This is great in your development. This is great in your career development, your career path. And I was like, Dad, like it really doesn't even matter to me at this point if it's good for my professional career, my career path. I'm really at a point where I want to make decisions that are authentic to me and are authentic to my growth path, not my career path. So 2 to 3 days later, I called up the guy and I turned down the position and I officially entered unemployment. But I can't emphasize enough how easy this decision was for me. Yes, I had some deliberation. Yes, I was asking for opinions, but at the end of the day, it honestly didn't really matter to me if my friends and family were going to tell me, yes, take it, or no, don't take it. Because at the end of the day, I was going to follow my gut feeling, and that was to leave the job. And I just have to say, before I move on to the next point, this decision was the catalyst for my entire year. The only reason I was able to do all of the amazing things that I did this year was because I listened to my gut, I listened to myself, and I denied this offer. So right after I left my job, I started my master's in digital marketing. I remember on my first day of orientation, I was super excited. I put on a cute little fit. I went to orientation. I got like a goodie bag. I got like a folder with all of my plans of study, my programs of study, and I was just really excited for this new chapter. So at this time, I started getting really serious about what I wanted going into the new year. Another excerpt from The Mountain Is You, it says, "The greatest act of self-love is to no longer accept a life you are unhappy with. It is to be able to state the problem plainly and in a straightforward manner." And that is exactly the point I reached in January. I was journaling all the time, writing down my goals in like a little notebook that is so surreal to look back on. And basically, when I was journaling and writing out all of my goals, there was something different in the way that I felt. This time around versus other times around, it was just obvious that I was going to do these things. Like, I knew without a doubt that I was going to get these things done. I had blind self-confidence, blind belief in myself, and when I was putting pen to paper, it's like the dream or the goal I had already existed. I also was looking back in my journal, and one of the things I wrote down on January 16th was, "I am disciplined with what I say I will do. I stick to my word. I am a woman of my word, and I follow through." So the second after I wrote down all of my goals, I immediately started tackling them. The first thing up was to run a 5K. One thing about me, when I say I want to do something, I don't want to just do it, I want to do it really well. So I was very strict with myself with my training. I was running like 3 or 4 times a week, whether that was outside or at the gym. It taught me discipline. It taught me to be a woman of my word. It taught me to follow through, because 3-4 days a week, I had a run that I had to complete. And mind you, I am not a runner. I had like a good 2-3 months there back in 2023 where I started running, but I lost all of my progress. So I was starting from the ground up. All right, so now we move on to February. So when I entered February, I was still feeling very, very stuck. I really wanted to take advantage of my time away from work. I wanted to live other places, I wanted to travel, but simultaneously I was kind of beefing with my dad because he was like, "So you're not gonna like go back into the workforce?" Immigrant dad. So let's start off with the beginning of the year. On Sunday, February 9th, I ran the 5K. The only thing that got me through this 5K was Let's Go by Kigla. I got a 28:56, and I don't know if that sounds good to you, but to me, that sounds great, because I started from like 34 minutes. I was literally so proud of myself. I proved to myself I could do it. I realized that I could really trust myself, to be disciplined, to follow through, to endure. So I ran the 5K, and now I'm at a point in February where I'm thinking about, what do I want to do this year? Where do I want to live? What do I want to see? What do I want to experience? And the one thing that came to mind of a place that I really wanted to live was Washington, D.C. But I also knew that I wanted to fulfill a lifelong dream of mine, and that was to live abroad in the summer in Spain. So I sat with myself and I thought about what I could do. I really didn't want to go back into a full-time job because that meant I couldn't go to Spain. How was I gonna tie myself down to the US and get a full-time job here when I literally wrote down in my journal at the beginning of the year that I wanted to live in Spain? And then also, how was I gonna get myself to DC if I had no reason to be there? How was I gonna tell my dad that I'm randomly moving to DC and I have nothing lined up for me? So my happy medium, my in-between, my way of being able to advance my professional career while also checking a place I wanna live off my bucket list was getting an internship. So I had this plan. I wanted to get an internship in DC and then move to DC. So basically, for the entire month of February, I started frantically applying to internships in Washington, DC. And I had this blind belief in myself that I was going to get one and I was going to live in DC. I never once gave up on that belief. And then soon enough, by the end of like a month interview process that included like a 2-hour test, I landed an internship at an amazing digital advertising organization. I got the position! I got the position. From that point on, I realized I had so much more control than I thought, and I learned that every single time I'm executing, I'm rewiring my belief system about myself. I remember my best friend Aisha, she showed up to my house, she was so sweet, with like flowers and a card congratulating me. But here's the catch. This internship was fully remote. They have an office based in DC, but no one goes into the office. But nonetheless, this was an excuse for me to be able to move to DC. I didn't care that it was remote. I didn't care that I was never gonna go in office. I just wanted to live in DC regardless of the circumstances. I remember when I first got the internship, I was emailing one of the coordinators and I was telling her that I was apartment hunting in DC. She literally emails me, and I'll insert it right here. "Just so you know, this is a remote role, so don't feel pressured to move to DC if CT makes more sense." And I responded to her, "Actually, I was really interested in moving to DC regardless, so I'm looking for places right now." She said, "Okay, great, happy hunting." So the internship started in March, so I knew I wanted to move there as soon as possible. So I hopped on Facebook and I was frantically searching for anyone that was subletting a place. I literally would spend like 24 hours a day on that app. This process, honestly, like it required a lot of patience, but I swear to God, that patience paid off because I landed the most beautiful apartment in Washington, DC that is honestly largely responsible for why I had the most amazing time there. So I landed the spot, and then I just had a couple of things to wrap up in Connecticut before I headed over to DC. First, we had our annual benefit banquet for our nonprofit organization, We Will Return. During this time in February, I created my first documentary, and this was for our service trip to Egypt that took place in November of 2024. I spent so long in this documentary that I swear swear to God, I almost went crazy. You can find that video on my YouTube channel. I have it uploaded. All of the money that we raised in February went to the service trip that we just did this past December. And then the last thing that I did before I went off to DC was go to UNRWA's Advocacy Day. And I went representing We Will Return with my brother Bassett and my best friend Aisha. Once again, insane full circle moment. I remember literally starting this organization at Doro Marketplace in Connecticut. And now we're invited to UNRWA's Advocacy Day. We even visited the US representative Rashida's office, and that was insane foreshadowing because little did I know I would be making ads for her at the digital advertising internship that I had just landed. So insane. All right, so now we're in March. On March 8th, I packed all of my stuff into my little Honda Civic and made the drive from Connecticut to DC. And I moved myself into my DC apartment all by myself. Like, once again, maybe not a big deal to you, but I literally wrote that down in my journal and then I executed it. And now I'm on my way to DC. I was just so proud of myself. I really was. The one person I knew in DC was Rhiannon, a friend of mine from my old company. That same night that I moved into DC, I went to her housewarming party at night, and it was just such a great start to my 3 months in DC and just a beautiful way to meet new people. Shout out to Rhiannon because she made me feel so welcomed in the DMV. So now began the era of March to May where I was living alone. For me, living alone never felt lonely. It felt like I was coming home to myself. Hanging out with myself became the best highlight of DC. I enjoyed my own company so much. I spent so much time with myself, and that's all I ever wanted. Whether I was out, whether I was in my apartment, it was always a new adventure. I would be dancing around my apartment, blasting music, talking to myself, laughing with myself. I probably sounded like a maniac. I thought I was so funny. Some of my favorite memories in DC just happened alone in my apartment with no plans, no audience, but simultaneously the sheer number of things that I had to go through in DC, yeah, it was a lot. Let's just say DC humbled me in ways that only real ones would understand. If I didn't learn to laugh, I would have cried. So I laughed. I got my first cockroach and I felt like that was my rite of passage. I handled that cockroach situation so badly, bro. Like, I remember I found it, I put it in a glass jar, and then I didn't know what to do with it, so I slid a paper underneath it, and then I released it back into my apartment's dumpster because I felt too bad to kill it, and I was like, you know what, it probably misses its family. I got my car towed once when there was a sign literally right in front of where I parked my car that if you park here, you will get towed. To be fair, I had parked there 3 other times and I never got towed. I can't make this up. I have no ride. I honestly handled that situation pretty well. I thought it was really funny. I had to pay a lot of money to get my car back, but it was a funny memory. I also did so many cool things in DC. I went to Rauw Alejandro's concert. I went to a DJ Habibi Beats concert. I saw Mehdi Hassan at the Capitol, which was so cool. I went to a viewing of No Other Land at the Capitol. I got lottery tickets for the National Gallery of Art night. I went to a bunch of New Percent parties, even though half the time I went alone because I didn't know anyone. Basically, I did so much and I went to so many things that I would have never went to if I didn't leave this job, if I didn't get this internship, and if I didn't sublet this apartment. I think another catalyst during my time in DC was going to an event called Laylit. So basically, there's this guy named Omar. Shout out to him. I went to college with him. We both went to UConn. But basically, I had posted on my Instagram story that I was living in the DMV, and Omar slid up and he was like, you gotta come to Laylit tonight. And thank God I did, because that night was the night that I met my best friends in DC. I went to Laylit and I met this group of Arabs that basically ended up defining the rest of my experience in DC. I hung out with them all the time. I was just so happy to have a little community in the DMV, and I'm really grateful for them. Honestly, I don't really want them to watch this just because that's really corny, but I'm very grateful for them. So moving on, around this time, the organization that I was interning at had a retreat. So they flew everyone into the office in DC. It was the one time the office was ever populated. And the retreat was amazing. I had so much fun. I met so many people. I just loved the people at this organization in general. They were just such kind humans, genuinely just some of the nicest people I've ever worked with. So at this retreat, I met this girl named Mel, and meeting this girl changed the course of the rest of my year. I met this girl, I really clicked with her off rip. I just thought she was such a beautiful person. I thought she was really down to earth, very, very chill. And yeah, we were honestly just hanging out for the majority of the retreat. One day I had a conversation with her about what we were gonna do after this internship ended. And I told her that in summer, I really wanted to live in Spain. It's been a dream of mine, and I was set that I was gonna do it regardless of anything. So I had this dream to live in Spain with my 2 roommates, my 2 best friends from senior year of college, Noor and Shishi. Shishi ended up coming with me to Spain, but Noor didn't. So basically, I could have lived in Spain with just Shishi, but I met this girl named Mel. She was very down to earth. She loved travel. She loved experiencing new things. And I literally asked her right there on the spot, listen, why don't you move to Spain with me and my friend? And I kid you not, this girl looks at me and she was like, yeah, I'm down. And usually when people say that stuff, I'm like, oh, they're just They're just talking in the moment. It's not that I didn't believe Mel, but it was just such a far-fetched concept to go and live in Spain with a girl that you just met today. So I was pleasantly surprised by her answer, but I was like, you know what? Like, I think I gotta follow up in like a month or so and see if she's still down. So a month rolls by, summer's coming up, I gotta book Spain. I reach out to Mel and she's still down. Imagine if I never got this internship. Imagine I got this internship during fall and not during spring, so we wouldn't have had the retreat and I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet Mel because she lives in Florida. I live in DC. The sequence of events that had to take place for me and Mel to actually end up going to Spain together were just like 1 in a million. So in April, I started officially apartment hunting for Spain. I was kind of in charge of finding our apartment, so I made like a bunch of documents. I was looking at different locations in Barcelona, weighing out our options, weighing out different costs, and by the end of April, I had booked our apartment and our flights. So Spain was ready to go. Something I would have literally dreamed of when I was a kid. And once again, we'll talk about that more when June, July, August comes around. So back to DC, I had a couple of people visit me. I had my mom visit me, which was just so much fun. Me and my mom were really close. I had Bassett visit me in DC as well, but he had a conference during that time, so we didn't get to spend too much time together, but it was still really fun nonetheless. And then I had Aisha visit me twice in DC, and we always say our DC era was our best era because we had so much fun. I think she came in April and she came in May, and both times we just genuinely had the time of our life. So end of May was my birthday, May 25th, and I spent it in DC. My friends from home sent me flowers in the morning.
You guys are so kind. What the heck? Wait, that literally just made my day.
This was the cutest thing that they could have done. My sister got me a gift card for like a birthday massage and a head spa, which was really sweet. The morning of my birthday, I brought myself to a farmer's market. I also took myself to watch the live action Stitch. It was honestly just such a beautiful start to my birthday, just being able to be alone and reflect on my past 3 months in DC for the first half of the day. Second half of my birthday, I hung out with my friends Mustafa and Aboud. It was so fun. They took me to sushi and then we hit a little Palestinian cafe called Detour Cafe. Insert a video of Aboud singing happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday, dear Leah. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
And then that night I took myself out. I went out to dinner and then I went to this like rooftop restaurant and there were just a bunch of people and I met a bunch of people. It was just really nice doing something alone and like meeting all of these new people on my birthday. It was a great time. I also met this girl Sada in DC who I celebrated my birthday with as well. I went to an Arab run club one day with my cousin. We met Sada. She followed up, asked us to hang out, and then from there it was history. We started hanging out and suddenly I had made yet another really good friend in DC. I really don't want to focus on the lows of DC because the highs so vastly outweigh them, but I will say the last month of DC I went through some really low lows, but I just want to highlight that during that time I was staying over my cousins a lot and we literally like lived together for 2 to 3 weeks, and despite anything I was going through, I look back at that time of my life so fondly because I literally had so much fun with my cousin. I was practicing resilience in a really bad situation, but simultaneously never ever letting a second of DC be taken for granted. Shout out Jenna, we did so much stupid stuff together. We would constantly be out to eat, constantly be going on drives, hanging out with new people, telling them about Palestine, not being able to shut up about Palestine whenever we would meet someone new. And alhamdulillah, no matter what was happening in my life, I had Jenna by my side. I had that bagel spot like 20 minutes out and I really had resilience. And then we have June. So in June, I moved back home from DC. I still remember the ride back home. It was surreal. Like I couldn't believe I was already closing that chapter. And I was just feeling so grateful for all of the memories that I had made. And then I had Spain coming up in like 3 weeks. So I had to take June to mentally prepare myself to go to Spain. And that's really what June was. It was a month of preparation. It was a month of relaxation, rest, and just really preparing for my summer abroad. Things happened here and there. Noor got bit by a dog, you know, the usual. Noor's cousin, one of my really good friends, Hiba, got engaged. We took her out to none other than Bar Taco. I also paused my master's during this time in anticipation of Spain. I honestly just really wanted to have no responsibilities when I went over there, and that's exactly what ended up happening, for better or for worse, but we'll get into that. And then to end out the month, on June 30th, we flew out to Spain. It was me and my best friend Shishi. We were flying from Connecticut to Spain, and Mel was flying from Florida to Spain. My mom and dad drove us to JFK Airport in New York. We stopped for Subway before we got to the airport because if anyone knows me, you know how much I love Subway. I actually have a new order recently. I stopped getting the chicken and I started getting the turkey. I think you should try it. My dad not only dropped us off at the airport, but he also parked and walked us all the way to TSA. That's honestly just the kind of dad he is. And I remember during the time at the gate before we boarded our flight, me and Shishi were just talking about everything. And like once again, how surreal it was that we were actually making this plan that we had since our senior year of college happened. We were talking so much about what we wanted to do in Spain, what we wanted to see, where we wanted to go. And I just remember in that airport when I was talking with Shishi about like the summer ahead, I knew I was about to have the best summer of my life. And now we're at July, the start of the best summer ever. So on July 1st, we landed in Spain. Once again, here's my vision board snippet. I remember we got to our apartment, there was no elevator, so me and Shishi had to haul our suitcases up like 4 flights of stairs. And all I'm thinking of while we're doing this is, oh my God, we're gonna have to go up and down these 4 flights of stairs every single day while we're in Spain. But basically me and Sarge finally lug our stuff up those 4 flights of stairs and we enter our apartment. The apartment was absolutely beautiful. It genuinely exceeded my expectations. Basically, I was 2 for 2 on apartments for this year. The DC one and the Spain one, I don't even know which one I liked better. And I remember we looked at the kitchen because that was the one thing that wasn't the best about the apartment. The kitchen was genuinely like, it was like 2 by 2. Like it was so small, but we never let that get to us because we cooked better meals in that kitchen than we ever had in Barcelona. But anyways, let's get into what I did in Spain. My days in Spain were filled with exploring new beaches, sightseeing, hanging out with Shishi and Mel literally all summer, making family dinner because I don't know if this is controversial, but the food in Barcelona was so bad. I remember the best dish I ever made was this bechamel lasagna. The best dish Shishi ever made was like a steak taco night. And then I remember the best dish that Mel ever made was chicken rice and this garlic sauce. So good. The main 3 spots that I spent majority of my time at in Barcelona were Barceloneta Beach, which I absolutely loved. I literally would go there for sunrise, sunset, even just in the evening, just to kind of like walk along the strip. I would go there like 5 days a week just to tan on the beach. The second spot that I spent so much of my time at that Shishi still roasts me about to this day, she was literally just roasting me about this the other day at a cafe, is Bunkers del Carmel, which is basically a lookout spot where you can see the entire city of Barcelona. It is so stunning. I went here so many times for sunset, midday, whatever it was. I loved that place so much. Me and Bunkers were like this. And then the last place that I spent majority of my time at was our little apartment on Carrer de Girona. We loved that apartment so much, and it was very similar to DC in the sense that some of our best memories were made there. We were constantly exploring new beaches, some of the most notable ones being Sitges, Tarragona, Tossa de Mar. Every single beach had something different to offer, but no beach was more beautiful than the last. We also went out a lot in Barcelona. Every single night was different because you're constantly meeting new people. You never know what the night is gonna bring. We would literally make new friends on a night out, see them the next night out, and then never see them again because Barcelona is such a transient city. I think only like twice did we meet people. We hung out with them for the time that they were there in Barcelona, and then we left. We were always out losing aura, doing something stupid. It was just so much fun. Like some of my best memories are just going out with Shishi and Mel. During my time in Spain, in terms of travel, I visited London, Monaco, France, Italy, Ibiza, Mallorca, and Montserrat. Oh, and Madrid, which is like a whole story in itself. I saw Calvin Harris in Ibiza, I saw Jason Derulo in Barcelona, and I also saw Mathame in Barcelona. Before Noor came, I went to London, and I went with Mel, the other Mel, and then Shishi. Fun fact, it was never supposed to be Spain. We were supposed to live in London, and my dream for the longest time was to live in London. Little hint for 2026. And I've never even visited London, so when we went to London, I was so excited. I took videos of like the touchdown, of like me taking my first steps in London.
I'm literally walking in London.
Of me seeing like the red buses in London.
Buses.
I had so much fun on that trip. I went to Buckingham Palace, I saw Big Ben, I went to Hyde Park, I got like my little Tesco meal deal.
So right now I'm in London. Fun fact, I wasn't actually supposed to live in Spain. I was supposed to live in London, and I'm just so grateful, alhamdulillah, that I'm able to visit London while still living in Spain. Right now I'm at Hyde Park having a picnic, and I just absolutely love it. I'm having literally the best time.
And that trip is just a trip I look back on so fondly. And I knew when I left London that it would not be my last time being there. Noor visited and Aisha visited as well. When Noor visited, we went to Mallorca and we went to Ibiza, which I'm gonna like insert videos of because oh my god. Being in Ibiza was also some of the best memories from Spain. Noor and Shishi always talked about going to Ibiza our senior year of college, and the fact that it actually happened, and not only did it happen, we saw Calvin Harris in Ibiza. That was like out of our minds. When Aisha visited, we went to Tossa de Mar, which was absolutely stunning. It was somewhere that I had been waiting to check off of my bucket list in Spain, and I waited for her to come so we could go together. We also did something crazy, and we hit Monaco, Italy, and Nice all in one day. Biggest shout out to Aisha for taking care of me on that 3-country trip because y'all don't even want to know what happened to me on that trip. And then right after Noor left and Aisha left, I went on a solo trip to Madrid. That was my first ever solo trip. Solo traveling is something I've wanted to do literally since I was was a little kid, and I just had so much fun, and it was just such a beautiful break from Barcelona. There was this one song I was consistently listening to in Madrid, and now whenever I put it on, it brings me straight back. I can't listen to that song without remembering my little hostel, me meeting like a bunch of new people at this hostel, me walking through the streets of Madrid. When I was in Madrid, I went to this place that had been on my bucket list for a while, and when I was there, I put down 2 wishes. One was for Palestine to be free, and my second wish was to live in London. And inshallah, hopefully that's some great foreshadowing for 2026. I also just want to touch on living with Shishi and Mel and how beautiful it was. I learned so much about myself in Spain and reaffirmed so much about what I already knew to be true. I'm someone who loves to hang around people who aren't worried about their perception, who aren't worried about their image, who are extremely informal, who do things maybe that like aren't even socially acceptable. I loved going out and dancing. I loved consistently acting a fool with Shishi and Mel. I loved Shishi and Mel because they were just some of the least superficial people I had ever met. They didn't really care how they were perceived. They didn't care about getting all of the perfect pictures. They would act insane with me on a night out. They are just humans that aren't afraid to be human. And living with them and being surrounded by that environment and that type of vibe for 2 months really solidified who I like to keep around me and the type of people that I really value in my life. So shout out to Shishi and Mel because my experience in Spain was entirely shaped by the 2 of you. Very much like DC, simultaneously in Spain when I was having the best time of my entire life, arguably the best summer of my life, I was also going through so much. And I think it's because I had no routine, I had no responsibilities, and taking away that routine and structure from someone who thrives off of routine and structure, I think just presented a lot of issues for me. Spain gave me so much clarity and really pointed out areas of growth that I needed to capitalize on when I got back home. There were certain triggers and struggles that I would continuously shove under the rug for years of my life, and then when they showed up in times of my life that were supposed to be the best times of my life, like living alone in DC and living with my best friends in Spain, when they showed up in those environments, it forced me to be so real with myself and understand that I had to tackle these when I came back home, or else they would continue to show up in all of these supposed best experiences of my life. And that's exactly what I did when I went back home, and we'll get into that in September. So now we're in September. So in September, or like the very end of August, it was my last night in Barcelona. So me, Shishi, and Will, her friend who was visiting Spain at the time, all went out to Shoko for our last night, and we had one of our best nights in Barcelona. And then from there, I went directly to the airport. So I'm flying to Sicily on 0 hours of sleep, and after just coming back from going out. I'm so happy I did the whole European summer thing while I was young because I know that I would not have the energy for that in like a couple of years' time. I arrived in Sicily. I was staying at my cousin's villa because she was living in Italy for a little bit, and then I was also with my sister. So it was me, my cousin Jenna, and my sister Dana. Sicily was the most beautiful place on earth. I swear to God, it's like gatekept or something because I had no idea this level of beauty existed in Sicily. And then our villa itself was beautiful. I think it was like 2 villas down. I met this little pony, and I loved that pony so much that I went and visited him every single day, but I still get so sad whenever I think about him because I feel like I'm never gonna see him again. Quick rapid fire what we did in Sicily. We climbed a volcano. Really just never thought I would do that. We went to a pasta making class that was so cute, even though the pasta that we made wasn't the best. We saw art and nature. This was really one of the most unique things I have ever seen. We took a boat towards the Favignana Islands. That was one of my favorite days in Sicily by far. They fed us on the boat. We swam in all of these different little coves. And then lastly, we ate copious amounts of pasta and gelato as one does in Italy. On September 7th, while I was in Sicily, Katie moved to California. Katie has been wanting to do this for so long. She has literally talked about this since we were in middle school, and it's just such a beautiful thing watching your friends chasing their dreams, and I feel very blessed to have witnessed it. Shout out Katie, I'm so proud of you. So on September 10th, 2025, I flew back home to Connecticut. I remember being so excited to come home because I really was so burnt out from European summer. I really just wanted to come home and be with my family. I'm not someone that gets super homesick, so me feeling that feeling, I knew it was time to come home. So let's set the scene. I've lived in DC, I've lived in Spain. So I've lived away from home for 6 months of my life, and then I'm coming back after all of those new experiences, and I'm living at my family home. When I came back after having all of those experiences, doing all of those things, accomplishing so much, succeeding in so many different areas of my life, and just growing so much as an individual, I swear I landed in Connecticut with this newfound sense of confidence. I had this new confidence and this renewed sense of belief in myself because I just made that all happen. Alhamdulillah, I just had the most insane experiences that I could have only dreamt of when I was younger in my 20s. So I came back and I just remember all of my journal entries and my notebooks that I would write in. Everything that I was writing down was born from me challenging my fear-based mindset that I had in January. The way I would speak about myself in these journal entries, the way I would carry myself, I completely transformed as a person after those 6 months of new experiences and those 6 months of being away from home. And this girl, I didn't relate to her anymore. One of the things that I was able to do do with this newfound sense of confidence is finally go to the gym again. If you knew me back in 2021 to 2023, you knew I was absolutely obsessed with the gym. I would always go to the gym. It was my outlet. It made me feel so good, but I honestly struggled a lot with keeping the gym a healthy environment for myself. Let's just say after that period from 2021 to 2023, the association that I had with the gym was so negative in my mind. And it was really upsetting that something that was once a beautiful outlet for me became the complete opposite in the matter of 2-3 years. But I came back from Barcelona, and I think it was September 12th, I went to the gym for the first time. And alhamdulillah, I can say confidently today, I have been consistent with the gym. I have been going 4 times a week since September 12th. So for over 3 months now, I have completely changed the image of the gym and the connotation of the gym in my head. You don't understand how much that means to me because it is now my outlet again. I wake up at 6 a.m. every day, and I am so excited to get out of bed so I can go to the gym. I even made a couple friends at the gym, and like I love the community and the people that I know there so much that I don't like to go at other times. I like to go at 6 a.m. because if I go at a different time, then I'm gonna miss them. My friend had sent me a text that I'll insert right here, and it says, I remember how much you used to love the gym. I'm so happy it's become a healthy, happy place for you again. So proud. And then 2 other very notable points about December. I really started respecting my own boundaries and setting boundaries with those around me. I grew up in a culture and an environment where it was very difficult for me to set boundaries. And that's also just like Arab culture in general, like the hospitality, the pleasing people, all of that. And I struggled with that so much. And then I don't know what changed when I came back from DC and Barcelona, but I was completely done with disrespecting my own boundaries to please someone else's. Someone that helped me tremendously to feel okay with setting boundaries was Noor. I cannot thank Noor enough for like her counseling during this like season of my life in terms of setting boundaries, letting me know it's okay to set boundaries, telling me that if the people in my life don't accept my boundaries, then they were never supposed to be in my life in the first place. I have a journal entry from this time in my life that I'm just gonna read off, but it says, I love that I've reached a point where I want to choose myself and my own boundaries in every single situation. I'm extremely against explaining myself or making decisions based on how others might feel. And once again, might not seem like a big thing to y'all, but this has helped me so much in my growth. And now we have October. So as part of my plan, in October, I started applying like a madman to all of these jobs. I was applying and applying and applying and then applying some more and then applying some more and then applying a little bit more. I didn't stop applying because I had this mindset of, listen, I don't want to be in the job search. I don't want to have to continue applying to all of these jobs and mindlessly sending out applications onto LinkedIn. I just want this process to be over with as soon as possible. So I was so strict with my time, and that was a huge portion of my October. I also restarted my master's. I took a finance course, got an A in it. Shout out Noor Ambassador, if you know, you know. And I'm set to graduate with my master's in digital marketing in January of 2027. Another thing that happened during this month was I leaned into event planning for Syria. Once again, so surreal for me because October of 2024, we were still under this dictatorship regime. October of 2024, I still wouldn't be able to go and see my family. October of 2024, my dad hasn't seen his family and his siblings and his nieces and his nephews in 15 years. Alhamdulillah, my brother and my dad have been able to go to Syria this year, and I'm gonna be going in 2026, inshallah. But yeah, I did a big sale for Syria. We raised $2,500, which was amazing. I always joke with my dad because I always ask him for massages, and he always gives me like these mediocre 3-minute massages. And the one time he gave me like a 10-minute, 15-minute really good massage was the day after I raised $2,500 for Syria. We also had a banquet to raise money for Atlantic Humanitarian Relief. They went on a service trip to Syria. I think this was in November. Once again, so surreal to be dancing with my best friend at this banquet, celebrating Syria's liberation, to be dancing with my dad at this banquet and seeing my dad, like literally, it could make me cry. But seeing my dad filled with joy over the liberation of his country, it's something I'll remember forever. Another thing that happened in October was I fell absolutely in love with my curly hair. And this is coming from someone who honestly went through years and years and years of hating my curly hair, growing up around girls who all had straight hair, not knowing how to take care of my hair when I was younger, going through a huge phase of hair thinning. So me actually liking my curls means so much to me. Me preferring my curls over my straight hair, even over extensions, means so much to me. And I just love my curls. I love my curls. And me being able to say that confidently and like knowing I really mean it means like the world to me. And by the end of the month, I secured a job. I went through another month-long interview process. It was very nerve-wracking, very anxiety-inducing, but alhamdulillah, I got an amazing job and it's everything that I wanted. It's unlimited PTO, it's 100% remote, and it's a higher salary than the job that I could have taken in January, but I denied. Just imagine the pride that I felt when I went to my dad and he's like smiling, being like, you really did it. And my dad was so proud of me. I'll insert a picture. He got me flowers to celebrate. It was really adorable. And once again, let's bring it back to that plan. It all worked out. That was the last thing that I had down and it worked out. Alhamdulillah. And then lastly, to close out October, I started therapy, but I really want to get into that in November. So now we're in November, 2 months out from the new year. This month was the month that I took a hold of my health, both mentally and physically. Physically, I caught up on all of my dentist appointments because I had some gum tooth issues after I came back from Barcelona. I went to a naturopath, I went to all of my women's health appointments, I went to a rheumatologist, I went to an OBGYN, I reconnected with my primary care physician because I hadn't seen her in a minute. I also started my job on November 10th. Just a little bit about it, it's a consulting company and we sell consumer data to our clients. During my time at my last company where I was doing tech consulting, I would assist on clients. Now I own all of the clients that I do the work for. So I'm just really excited for what that's gonna do for my confidence, my public speaking, all of that. Also, my first company is a chocolate company, and if you know me, you know how fitting that is. So in November, I began going to therapy. I just really feel like I've taken this time to meet myself, to learn more about myself, to be patient with myself. I took everything I went through and I turned it into self-love. I've sat here every single day journaling, researching, analyzing because I love myself and I don't want what I used to give myself anymore. I want more. I want only the best. Another little excerpt from The Mountain is You. Get angry, determined, and allow yourself to develop tunnel vision with one thing and one thing only at the end, that you will not go on as you are. And that was this month for me. And then lastly, so last year I did a little social media cleanse, and during that time I was leaning very much into reading, into other hobbies that I had, because when you're not scrolling on TikTok and Instagram all the time, you realize how much time you have in a day to give to your other hobbies. So I leaned back into that this November and then going into December as well, but this I see as more of a permanent thing. So basically what I do is I delete Instagram and I allow myself to scroll on it if I want, but when I'm done with it, I delete the app. With TikTok, I stay logged out, and if I really want to scroll on it, I allow myself 15 minutes a day. I've loved this method so much, and I've been continuing it for maybe about a month now. It has decreased my screen time so much. It's helped my mental clarity, my mental health. It's given me other time for more hobbies, even like creating this YouTube video right now. It's just put me in such a creative headspace because I'm not constantly consuming others' content. The sheer number of benefits, I just don't think I'll ever go back to the level of consumption that I had on social media. Last but not least, we have December. So just setting the stage, I've hit a month with consistency off of social media. I've been in therapy for about 2 months now. I've been consistent with the gym for about 3 months now. And all of the small habits and things that I started after Barcelona, the effort and the results of those habits is really showing. I feel so mentally clear. I feel like I'm in a really good place, and I feel like I'm in a really good headspace to enter a new year. So let's start off with the beginning of December, where We Will Return went on the service trip. Once again, insane full circle moment. This will now be our second service trip overseas to help the people of Palestine. I personally couldn't go on this trip for personal reasons, but inshallah, I'll be going on the next one in the new year. But seeing the amazing, impactful work that We Will Return was able to accomplish in Amman is just so beautiful and makes me so proud to be a part of an organization that is making real change for the liberation movement. Like, I just still remember We Will Return was just a concept that we had. It was a name that was developed at Doro on a random like Tuesday. And now it's this. Just seeing the life course of something go from so small and just an idea, just a concept that existed in our heads to what it is now. It makes me so proud, and more importantly, it makes me so excited for the future of our organization. 2 more things that happened in December. I started itching to get back into content creation. I can't even believe that I'm making this YouTube video right now. It's been so long since I've done a sit-down talking YouTube video. I think when I first started YouTube, I so easily slipped into creating content that would do well for engagement, do well for views, and would allow me to grow at a quicker pace than if I just did content that was authentically me. And I just have a whole new mindset going into YouTube this time around, where I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to upload what I want to upload, and that's that. In December of 2025, I also started reconnecting with old friends. These are people I haven't seen since college that I didn't believe I would see again, quite honestly. And reconnecting reconnecting and finding a spark with friends that you haven't seen in a while is just such a beautiful thing, because it's like, you knew me at that point in my life and now you're seeing me at this point in my life. I knew you at that point in your life and now I get to experience you at this point in your life. Like, seeing the growth right in front of me while never forgetting about the people that we used to be is just such a beautiful thing. And I feel like I've been so sappy on this video, but I don't know, it's something about the new year. And then lastly, in December, I started planning my New Year's goals for 2026. And honestly, I want to keep my goals a little bit private for right now, but some general topics: fitness and health, learning more Arabic, content creation, and then my year of travel. I would say 2025 was a huge year of travel for me, but I want 2026 to be even greater than that. So in conclusion, this was me then, and here I am now. I appreciate, accept, and love who I was then, but the version I am of myself now feels so much more authentic to the real me and who I want to be. If you can extract any value from this video, there's 3 things I want you to remember. First of all, take the risk. If I never left that job in January, I don't even know where I would be right now in December 2025. Probably not making this video. 2, you can do anything you want, but the way to get yourself to actually execute is to build your arsenal of evidence and proof that you can execute, that you can do the things that you say you want to do, that it's not like so far off. Like, I used to think of my goals and be like, oh yeah, like that'll be me like 3 years down the road. Like, I used to think about living abroad and I would be like, well, that's just not in the cards for me right now, but there was no reason as to why it couldn't be. You are literally capable of anything and you can do anything if you challenge your fears and you move through the resistance. I'll end with 3 things. I remember in my very first YouTube video, and I'll unarchive it just this once for this video, you can go watch it right now, I talked about self-sabotage and how much I was struggling with it. I am not letting this self-sabotage mindset get in the way. That was 2 years ago. This year, I truly challenged it. Excerpt from The Mountain Is You. Self-sabotage is very often the simple product of unfamiliarity, and it is because anything that is foreign, no matter how good, will also be uncomfortable. And to end off a recent journal entry of mine, self-sabotage is not a way we try to hurt ourselves. It is a way we try to protect ourselves. But this year, I learned protecting myself won't bring me to my goals, and you're not living if you're playing it safe. So never play it safe. Going into 2026, I challenge you to do everything that you said that you couldn't do, to build your arsenal of evidence and proof that you are someone who executes, and to believe in yourself just a little bit more than you did in 2025. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun making this video, and I'll see you in the new year. Bye.